last time on Wild and Weird Investigations.
Yeah, there's no way a person could get down there at night.
I mean, this is going straight down.
Are too steep. At the time of night you were there, there should have been somebody down there with a light on.
All right, so that's the tree.
I think it was awful close to you then.
All right, so an impromptu workshop.
Yeah, that's what it turned into. We were going out to recreate the scene where Ron recorded that thermal. We got kind of close, but the terrain wasn't playing fair, and we weren't able to get in the exact location safely, but we were able to gather rough distance, which is within 50 yards. Next, when we're walking out, we had some weird comms stuff. Some things were going on. We started getting some higher radiation readings, which are unusual, because it started going up into 40s, 40 CPM. It's not high enough to be lethal or anything, but it's high enough to be an anomaly.
Tell them when that happened.
Right around the time that the comms were going goofy.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's odd. That counts as an anomaly.
And let's not forget to mention that, like 2 minutes prior, as we were walking out of the woods, all of our equipment starts to malfunction, and we get that Geiger counter spike.
Then, as we're walking out of the service room, we're just gathering some B-roll with the thermal, just because why not? And I thought, hey, I'm just going to look at the sky. What the heck? I looked up, and I was like, what's this? And then everybody turns their phones on, looks at it, hits record, and we recorded probably 5 minutes worth of bizarre footage.
UAP.
Multiples.
Then they were moving through the cloud bank, making a J formation movement.
I have no idea.
High speed, extremely high speeds.
We have to figure out if there's a logical explanation of what we saw.
Yeah.
It was either something very close moving slow, but if it was in the sky, that was moving very fast.
What you had was behind clouds.
Yeah, what I had went behind
The
the cloud
original
bank.
was behind clouds.
Moving at erratic.
Yeah, and the ones that I was filming, they were shooting off in every which way direction as well. Which is wild.
Yeah, those are odd. Depending on how close to the frame those were, or how close to the lens rather, insects could be a thing, but we're getting into that cold time of year where flying insects at night aren't that.
We actually saw a flying insect
Or that fast.
on thermal.
Yeah, we did. We did catch one of the insects on thermal, so we did see that as it moved through, and it was much closer than these other objects, and it was much larger.
Again, went out to talk about this possible Bigfoot sighting. Found a trail, possibly.
Yeah,
That went over the hill.
found possible footprints. We found them.
Comms went crazy. Decided to get out because it was getting dark. We weren't really, again, not really going out there to do
This was just to do
investigation.
this was just to do a recreation while we had daylight.
And then we get sidetracked. This is what happens, and this is the strangest thing about this whole phenomenon. And you guys got to see it. I'm so happy you guys
That was
see
very cool.
Day 3 at the site.
Yeah.
Back again.
We came back to check in the area because we needed more daylight. We're going to actually go in and create a proper size estimate here. We made one attempt at it, but we couldn't get down in before we lost visibility. And just time in general, we had to get out of here. We're going to see if we can find any other tracks. We did find the one. If it's still here, we're pouring plaster today. And we'll let you know how it goes. Fingers crossed, right?
So it's underwater.
It's underwater. That means it's preserved, though. I'm removing water. It rained, it got full of water, and we bailed out water to get it out. And what I'm doing now is I'm actually building a dam so we don't lose any extra plaster, and I'm being very careful to not affect the outside ridge. Just pour something in the water. I try to weigh these bags out to where I can do 1.5 bottles of water. So that way, if I don't have a stream nearby, I can get the consistency I want with 1.5 bottles. We're gonna start pouring in the most important parts first. Toes. You get down in that toe. See how it's displacing the water? The plaster is heavier than the water. So it's gonna displace your water. Get that moved all out of the way. Gets any of the air bubbles that might be trapped down in there loose.
All right, I got you. In case you tumble and fall over the hill.
Yeah, we got blooper reel.
Yeah. Well, something went through there, didn't it?
Yeah. This is used.
Little game trail. So maybe that'll help.
Another way down. Walking stick now.
Got a walking stick you fashioned? Okay.
This is where I was standing when you couldn't see me.
Okay.
This is the tree I was leaning on.
Okay.
So that flat's right down there. So I'm gonna get down there at the end.
Okay, so Joe's in position down that way. I am now walking back to the spot where I got the original thermal image. We're going to try to get a size reference as to how big that thing was. Okay, I've got the camera set up. I'm gonna try to sight Joe in at this point. Okay. He's making his way down now. And says that he's found an area where something slid down there. It's literally right where he's at right now. You can see him right there. Right there. We have Joe down here in the valley. I'm directing him into the area to where this thing was. This would be absolutely impossible to traverse at nighttime without some kind of visual aid, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but whatever it was moving around down there. And it could obviously see in the dark without falling over the hills. And when he gets up here, he'll tell you more about that, but it's pretty treacherous down there. Joe's making his way back up the hill now from down in the valley. Okay, made it back. You could only move so much down there.
Yeah.
Like, it looked pretty treacherous.
That sucked. No one in their right mind would have hiked onto that spot. There was a trackway leading in. I photographed it. But getting out of there, getting down sucked. You saw what terrain I had to go through to get to it. Like, nobody in their right mind is gonna do that, including me. You gotta remember that night, moon was below the horizon when they were doing the workshop.
Yeah.
Didn't come up for like 2 hours later. So.
That's right. All right.
We just had starlight.
I mean, I don't know. I just think we proved that that's not a person.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know? The only way that was
I agree.
Only way that was a person is if it was like some kind of mutant and they could see in the dark.
Right.
All right, so Raccoon Boy maybe.
Yeah, that's a new cryptid.
New cryptid. There's a new cryptid for you guys. All right, let's go check this footprint and see if we can pull it out of the ground.
All right, so sometimes when you're pouring in specific environments, it requires a little bit of help to get your cast out of the ground without breaking it, especially when we're in something like mud. Mud's going to create a ton of suction, so we're going to have to remove a lot of earth with this when we take it, and then just clean it up once it's good and dry. Remove the dam.
Here, do it. It's got a little suction lock to it. There we go. Oh, there it is.
See the heel.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the toe. So I got a big toe there for you.
Huh. I would think it would be deep.
And there's what we couldn't see.
Yeah, that's the part was up inside, right?
Yeah, that's
so we're looking this way. This is the heel area back, looking forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back. The track is in the back.
Yep.
This is pretty much the end of this case, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, until the next one rolls in down here, because you know there's going to be something else.
Mm-hmm.
This site's got a history of Bigfoot activity. There's BFRO reports. Russ Jones has worked down here for hundreds of hours working in this forest and had found evidence too. And it's only a matter of time before we get called back.
So you went over the hill.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about what you saw down there.
Well, the terrain was really obviously rugged. We knew that going in, but found out how loose it was when we started moving down.
Mm-hmm.
I got down into the creek bed where the subject was filmed.
What'd you find there?
Well, immediately found a set of footprints that were moving the opposite direction that I was moving up the creek. So I think I found its exit path. I took pictures of those. There was absolutely no way to cast those. The only way that I could have done that is if I had like a sawzall and a bucket, and I could have made it on an incline, because it was
the entire hillside out, basically.
Yeah, well, cut the bucket at a bias and force the bucket down in, and then fill that with plaster, and then just hope for the best.
Yeah.
That's the only way it could have been done, because they were literally going downhill. There's nothing that would have held plaster. We got down into the exact area where this subject was filmed, and we know why. We were curious about why the subject just disappears out of sight off the frame. You see it take 2 steps and then it's gone. It was really easy to figure that out once I was in the spot, because it was a 6-foot drop off right there, and I had to grab a hold of a tree to step down it without hurting myself. And this subject in the thermal didn't do that. He just walked and stepped right off.
Very casually, in total darkness.
Yeah.
So, knowing what we know that you saw down there and the other things we've seen, do we still say that this was a hunter? I think that's pretty much been debunked at this point.
Yeah, I don't think that it was a hunter. I don't think that it was an individual. There would have been light. There would have been some form of light that would have been able to be seen, and there just wasn't. We didn't see any light come back. There was an infrared camera looking down in the valley. It would have been just washed out completely.
Well, as Jess said, I would have picked up the infrared heat source from their emitter.
Yeah, you would have seen the emitter.
Yeah.
And you didn't.
Nothing.
You didn't see that. The infrared camera
didn't catch anything.
Grabbed light and just screamed it.
Yeah, we'd have seen that.
Yeah, so I don't think this was a person. My biggest takeaway, I think, from this as well, looking at the 2 videos that we made, the recreation that we just did with me side by side, this thing was a lot thicker than me.
Seems to be, and it kind of seems taller.
Yeah,
it kind of seems taller. We're gonna have to go back and look at that.
We'll have to do size to size
comparison and whatnot, and movie magic. But we'll definitely do that and follow up. But all in all, like I said, I think this case is closed.
Yeah, I think we've wrapped up with everything we can get here today.
Yeah. So let's get on the road, get some food, and get home.
Sounds good.
At CryptidCon, we met up with Thomas Shea, according to some, one of the best Bigfoot researchers in the country. Tom was very impressed with the evidence we collected on this case.
He pointed out where the dermoglyphics were. That
Actually, let's see if Jen showed. I just showed her where it's at.
Yeah.
Oh, now I.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So show her where it's at.
So, he was pointing out to me that if you look in this area here, you will see some dermal ridges right around in this area.
Okay.
And a few back here on the heel area.
Okay.
And I wasn't able to really see them very much with my eyesight, but if you wanted to look at them with the magnifying glass, you can really see them, especially if you look at it with a side light. You can start seeing them right through here, between where the big toe and...
Right here.
Yeah.
It's where a toe would have been.
Okay.
There we go. You can kind of see here and over here.
So that's what you look for. You see those little lines?
Yeah, right there.
It's like a fingerprint almost.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
And then back here, the lines in this area of the heel go a different direction than the shrink lines in the mud.
Yeah.
So now that you've seen it, and you were there,
Yeah.
you know all, just about everything about this case that we know at this point,
Yeah.
and so many people have already seen it's been peer reviewed. What do you think about that?
It's fascinating to actually see the cast that we were involved in, because most of the things you see cliffs or whatever, you'll see casts here and there, and like, okay, but we actually saw the print before it was cast and actually could see the cast afterwards. Shots.
I had wandered over there when you guys were looking down into the ravine and noticed that this was a big muddy track, and I was like, hey Joe, you want to come over here and help me look for footprints? And we saw this thing, and Joe starts like, hold on everything, and starts looking, and okay, we might have something here. So that was very exciting.
Even though it was like a day or two later and it was in a puddle, you could still see the toe and the separation and where the arch would be in the heel. So, and it's way bigger than a human foot, a normal human foot, I should say. But yeah, it's fascinating to actually see something that we were involved